At Your End Step is brought to you by Comic Town and BCW Supplies. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
And we have another fun-filled episode for you, folks. Now, I'm lying.
Do not lie.
I'm lying. This episode is kind of less than fun, at least for like the community segments. And we apologize for that, but 2018 has just not been a good year for hashtag Magic Community.
The community section is literally like a bus tour from bus fire, or from like tire fire to tire fire. Like,
yeah.
You
get to see all the lovely tire fires currently going on within the Magic Twitter community at all. Yeah. So we'll talk about the community stuff. We'll try to make it as painless as possible, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, little friends. I apologize. Then we have some tournaments to talk about, and after that, we will go to our normal wrap-up stuff. But before we jump into anything, I do want to, of course, remind you folks that we do have a couple contests going on. Giveaways, I should say, not contests. You don't have to do anything necessarily.
I mean, you could show your love and aderation.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Like, it powers us. It
and
fuels
that's
us.
have to. But we're giving away a couple of Nexus of Fates, and one is going to be via our Twitter account, so you can go there, and it's our pinned tweet. You can follow the link to a Google form that you fill out and enters you into the giveaway. That method.
Easy, Elmer. It's all right.
And then we also have one via our Patreon. So we do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/atyourendstep. You can contribute at any level, and then all of our patrons will be entered into the giveaway at the end of the month. And both giveaways will be happening at the end of the month. So hopefully our first show in September, we will have two winners to announce. So get on that if you haven't already. Time is running out. It is running again till the end of August.
Time is running out.
Yeah, it always does.
Because Nexus of Fate lets you take infinite turns.
It's true. So you may that may be true, but you don't have infinite turns for this one.
Yeah, I don't think that worked the way you wanted it to.
No, it didn't. It's all right. It's okay. Everyone will have a good laugh, and then into the sadness we wade. All right. So we got a lot of garbage to talk about community. I don't know what's up with bees in everyone's bonnet, but like, just stop it.
There's a bee.
There's a bee. That's a good vine. After this, look up that vine, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, pause in between each section and just be like Vine time.
Yeah, just so load up a Vine compilation video paired with this podcast. Don't do this while you're driving, please. Please be at home, sitting preferably for maximum safety. And then listen to a segment, play a few vines, then listen to another segment, and then repeat this process until we're through the community segment. But I guess this one's not like terrible. We've banned and restricted. It happened on the 20th of this month, and nothing changed. So not too surprising. I
would have liked a write-up at least about Modern, just saying like what they're thinking. Like maybe that's asking too much because obviously that process is always super sort of quiet. But sometimes they give us like, hey, these cards are something we're looking at or we're watching this closely, and just having nothing at the statement was I thought a little sad. But
yeah, I agree with that. Usually like. Kind of giving a little bit of background of some of their decisions or stuff like that is nice, but not necessarily required if they're not changing anything. Right. So
someday my twin will come.
I don't think so, but I think that something like KCI's days are potentially numbered. But if they feel like the modern metagame still has some room to kind of hash things out and settle a little bit more, then we'll see what happens. But nothing changing so far, and nothing is standard changing, which not a lot of people were necessarily saying, but wouldn't have been surprising if they...
I think it would have been. With how close we are to rotation, I think it would have been very surprising.
I suppose. But you might have seen, like, potentially something of, like, banning something that wasn't going to be rotating, but with the rotation... With rotation happening, like... It's going to shift a whole lot of archetypes and everything like that.
Standard is officially boring, but it's almost done, so it's okay.
Very, very uninteresting. So moving on to our first sort of kind of depressing topic, and even this, potentially isn't so bad. It's just not great. But recently on MTG Goldfish, Saffron Olive put together an article about counterfeits and kind of. He really did an in-depth analysis on sort of counterfeits and kind of what's going on in that situation. And He said that something like counterfeits are definitely improving, and you can see that he has taken screenshot shots of like milestones that they've actually hit with some of their counterfeits and stuff like that, which is it's kind of wild. There's a really a concentrated community that are out there trying to make legitimate looking Magic cards. He said at the current state that it's in, you definitely they're not going to pass certain tests, obviously. And he says that a lot of them are still fairly waxier than any Magic card. They're closer to a consistency of a playing card, just a regular playing card. And he in the article he does kind of make a clear differentiation between something like a counterfeit and like something like a proxy. Where we've seen a lot of proxies in Standard recently because a lot of basic mountains have been played in decks that don't have any red cards because of Nexus of Fate, and those are proxies. Now those proxies in particular are tournament legal ones, but there are also non-tournament legal ones that are not for sale. So these are ones that you could theoretically print on your own that are for non-sanctioned tournaments, your tabletop game, your kitchen table game, your local get-together with your fellow Commander players or what have you, or cubes. You do see it a lot in cubes as well because, to be perfectly honest, cubes are super expensive to maintain and own, and they're kind of an insurance nightmare if something were to happen where it got stolen. So a lot of people have decided to take it upon themselves to proxy out their entire cube. So, but these are specifically not counterfeits. They're not designed to pass for legitimate Magic cards.
Yeah, you're not going to look at that and go, oh, that's a Magic card? Like, oh, that is emulating a Magic card.
Right. Another important distinction is these should not be sold. So you might see a lot of eBay stores selling proxies. Well, that's still not good. Proxies are supposed to be sold. That's why if you see a lot of people like the proxy guy on Twitter, all of his designs are specifically not for sale or is printed on them. So it's definitely something that is a pretty big difference. But one important thing is 5 years ago, proxies are nowhere near what they are now, and just in 5 years they've made a lot of advancements. So what's going to happen, in the next 5 years is kind of a concern as far as that goes. But I definitely think it's an important read. It's definitely something that people should be paying attention to. It is something that it potentially has devastating impacts for Magic as a whole. If proxies were to ever catch up with what Wizards could actually print, the impacts could be disastrous. It could not to sound bombastic, but they could kill the game. And I think that's important to take note of. And but yeah, I would say encourage you to sort of read the article, and it has a lot of good information on it. It's pretty well researched as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it is weird to me that someone has to explain to people in an article that buying counterfeits is bad. Like that, we had this discussion over the weekend, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like why, if you think Magic cards could be cheaper, and I linked another article here by Saffron Olive that we could talk about how he's been tracking Modern prices and how Modern as a format has increased 26%, almost 30% over the last year. And he puts that mostly at the feet of the Bad Masters sets, Iconic Masters and New Masters 25. So WotC could certainly do more, but they don't owe you anything, and hobbies are expensive. Like, I want to have more cards. I want to have cheaper cards, but I know that I have an expensive hobby. So, I don't... If you feel like you're owed something or you should be able to play whatever you want, then, go play a game, go play L5R where you can buy all your cards at once. You chose to play this game. You understand what it is. And, the concept that people literally well, I'm doing this. It's okay. And as you mentioned, Morgan, the only road that leads is to eventually WotC can't print a game anymore. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And defending it is you defending you committing a crime. I want you to understand, if you defend it, you are defending you committing a crime. So, that isn't a cool place to be ethically.
Not really. It's
crimes are cool, man, because it's WotC.
It's definitely not a soapbox I want to be on to try to defend.
I'm not a huge fan of like the slippery slope argument, but if you're starting with I'm allowed to defraud this company because I'm me, I'm fairly certain you could figure out you're allowed to do whatever you want, and then you could be the person at the end of this list of our list of community topics.
Yeah.
So I think it's just kind of odd. Now I will say that like I agree, like the proxy stuff makes sense to me. I mentioned emulated because I wanted to mention that like emulation's always been like a strange thing, right? But the legality and I say emulation in video games if you aren't aware, like you can have an emulator which essentially is a computer program that plays the video, is the video game system X, and it can play ROMs, which are those games.
Right.
Legally, you are allowed to have those things if they are backup copies of things you have.
Right.
Like that makes sense. So for me, like if you are the person who has that cube, but you want to ask like the proxy guy to make some stuff for you, or you can do that kind of stuff so that when you take it out into the world, it doesn't get stolen. That to me feels totally different. Again, and he mentions the proxy guy as a guy on Twitter you could look at in here who always puts not for sale on anything that he makes, and he does not sell those cards. And they are clearly not attempting to be Magic cards. And if you brought it to a tournament, it wouldn't look like a Magic card. It wouldn't feel like a Magic card. It wouldn't have the Magic back. So, like,
personal opinion, it looked better than a lot of Magic cards.
He specifically does some gorgeous work.
Yes,
it's very true. And there's a bunch of people doing that. But like, I think if you were trying to compare those things and say they are equivalent. Again, I feel like you are lying to yourself, and you're sort of missing the whole thing here.
Yeah.
I mean, by all means, I understand you want to vote with your dollars, and you still want to play the game. You shouldn't break the law to do that. You can still vote with your dollars. You just won't get new cards, and that's how you vote with your dollars because you want them to change, not collapse. Ostensibly, unless you're just like that guy that Michael Caine talks about all the time, wanting to watch the world burn
and all that.
So yeah.
To be fair, being the Joker persona will probably appeal to a lot of people within our community, so we should probably be careful.
I don't need a Magic Joker.
But I do want to say as well, it also is somewhat a responsibility of WotC to protect.
For sure.
Protect their 100%. Cards. And they do take actions to do so, but I mean, you got to stay ahead of the game as well. So if they did nothing, then I would expect the proxies would probably catch up to legitimate cards within 5 years, but I don't expect WotC to sit on nothing and do nothing about this growing issue. So I don't know what that is. I don't think any of us really know what that is don't work at Wizards of the Coast. But I imagine that there has to be, as technology improves, there has to be other ways that they can protect themselves in their game.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely be informed about it. And I think the real interesting thing actually is the fact that Modern has gotten so expensive.
Yeah, again,
since the last it's since the last Modern Masters set, right?
Yes, I mean again since Modern Masters 2017, like it definitely has. And I think the most interesting thing of that article, which we kind of hit on, is again that it isn't like people think reserve list cards, like he says, you think like Underground Sea, something like that, but really it's the fact that they're trying to print like these modern staples that are $10 to $50. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's an odd place to be, and like if you're someone who wants to support an LGS, and I think what's really interesting, and maybe this is me just being bitter and I can't let this go, but why don't I see more people in the community talking about this besides Saffron Olive? All these people who said support your LGS, defend the LGS, that's what the buy a box promo was for. Well, you should probably get on this soapbox then too. Just saying. Now, yeah, I'm getting close. I'm going to become the Magic Joker. That's what's going to happen.
All right. Next up, we have another lovely community discussion.
This one won't put a smile on your face.
No, this is bad, but good joke though. So it's Hall of Fame voting season. It's Hall of Fame voting time, and which basically means.
I thought you said Halloween for a second.
No, not yet.
Spooky Halloween voting time.
This means that you get to see a lot of Magic professionals dunk on each other over and over again about why they're savage cheaters and should be voted into the Magic Hall of Fame.
Every time I open Twitter, I hear the Space Jam theme song.
Come on and slam. So, yeah, it's bad, and I think that this is an issue that a lot of people have talked about and have compared to things like the Baseball Hall of Fame, other sports Hall of Fames, and how it's different from that because you don't necessarily see players of those, sports dunking on each other, like nagging each other. And you're more experienced with this than I am, Mike. But would you say that's generally the thing that you anytime this comes around, you're not necessarily seeing like active players in the sport? I'll probably limit to that.
And like you have rare instances. We had in football, you had Terrell Owens who threw a hissy fit about his Hall of Fame induction just recently, and that was big news because it was weird. Mm-hmm. And like in baseball, you do have like the weird standoff between the writers and the players who like possibly took PEDs. Like that's a thing, but for the most part, no, you don't. You do not have former players campaigning actively against. Maybe former players positively, but never this weird against. Like all I can think of is like Jose Canseco, who's a miserable person years ago, being like, this guy did steroids too, and this guy, like, he just wanted to light the world on fire with him. I talked a lot about fire.
Yeah,
I'm very sorry.
It's very arsonistic today.
I don't know. I got this weird. I don't know. Like,
you better watch out if there's some arsons in your area. They're gonna listen to this podcast and track you down.
Why?
I don't know.
To arson me?
The police. I mean, for questioning.
That's not what you said, though. You said if they're any. Hey, that guy likes fire. I'm gonna go fire that guy.
Sorry, I meant the police were tracking down for questioning in relation to said fictional arsons.
Did you not commit these not arsons? Wait a second.
Wait. Is this one of them Sphinx riddles? Anyway,
but yeah, no. In all seriousness, I mean, like you get those rare outspoken people who might do that, but for the most part, the sports don't do that. We have the most toxic like Hall of Fame voting system ever. It is crazy to me. You have Mark Rosewater actively defending like a cheater on Twitter. It's so weird. I don't get it.
I think that in general, it's just because there are people who are active players still that get votes that get to be vocal about it. Whereas other Hall of Fames, I don't believe that is necessarily true.
No, it is not.
Yeah. And I think that causes a lot of issues, but you have these players, who are also content creators, and that's what causes the divide. You don't necessarily have that sort of combination. And, that's why it looks terrible, because you have these people like just straight up insulting and dunking on people's reputations.
That's some biased memories, and I want to be very weird. Like you will hear some really terrible and interesting stories. Like go on Twitter, you'll see them, but like they come from people who have an agenda. Yeah, and I'm not saying that's not true. Like we have some questionable folks who are up for Hall of Fame induction that technically have deserving numbers, and those are questionable, but. It's just so weird. It's like, well, this one time I watched that guy not give his grandma a kiss on the cheek, and that's not the kind of guy I want in my Hall of Fame. How about you? Right? Like, it's just like, it does seem like it's kind of weird and super personal in a way that doesn't make sense for something that's supposed to be a celebration of, like, the game.
Yeah.
I do hope that at some point WotC steps in. There's been a lot of discussion about this the last few years, especially since we're getting kind of thin on Pro Tour classes. I know it sounds kind of weird, but, like, we are. So I think that if WotC ever decided to really readjust how they do Hall of Fame inductions, maybe mirror, decide that the Hall of Fame is something more than just the best players. Like in sports, generally is the best players, but you also have like coaches and all these other things that are sort of intangibles that go into the Hall of Fame. And I think that if you took the voting away from only players, and then you made it more about Magic as a game. You know what I mean? I think we talked about this last year. We talked about this a little bit, like adding judges, adding these kind of things. Then maybe it changes this conversation a little bit. But as long as it's players voting for players and it's like this personal vendetta thing, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I think we definitely want to talk about who really has a legitimate call to be placed into the Hall of Fame.
Call to the Hall.
A call to the Hall, as it were. And I think this is one of the first years in recent memory that doesn't have like a slam dunk.
No, it certainly doesn't. And I know for other people, they are saying we do have 3 people with 5 Pro Tour top 8s, and the numbers that would suggest they are. And those 3 people are Liu Tian, Marcio Carvalho, and Tomohiro Saito. All 3 of them have been connected to some shady things. 2 of them specifically have had bans in Magic for cheating. And and we're going to talk a lot about cheating here, for the next 10x minutes, so I apologize for that. But if you've cheated, you should be in the Magic Hall of Fame. And I think that no matter what, like if you have been banned for cheating, how can you get into the Hall of Fame? Like you've stolen like, and it amazes me how many people are going to vote for those people because like you're voting for someone who tried to steal from your peers and probably from you. What is wrong with you? So Lisa Chan, I hesitate on. I've read a lot of things, and that's one of the things about this stuff on Twitter. It's tough, but it is questionable. I wouldn't be surprised if he did get in, but I do think that Saito and Carvalho specifically do not have a good chance, and I hope they don't.
Like Lee Shijian's not relegated by those the banning constituency. That constituency, that's not the word I'm looking for. The standard.
Yeah, like he hasn't been. Whether or not he should be is not a judgment I have to make, and I haven't watched the guy play. And I get like that's the tricky situation players are in. These players have watched these other people play a lot, but it doesn't take much for someone to jade your opinion, one way or the other. And I don't know. It just seems odd. Beyond those top three, though, I don't know. There's a push for more Keverholtz again this year, who does have 4 Pro Tour top 8s. I think that Seth Manfield's really close, at least in my mind.
Yeah.
He's definitely a younger guy. I think it's his first year on it, right? Is his first or second year?
I can't remember.
But like he has a lot more he could add to it. But I do think like he's got a lot of like good stats. I think it could work for it.
He's had a good run of like recent years that really helped build his case. And I think that
and a world championship too, right?
Maybe. Yeah, wasn't he the last world championship?
No, that was this most recent year. Maybe I know we looked this up, so I
can't remember. I do know that he has definitely had a pretty solid career, and if you are relegating like the first 3 people with 5 Pro Tour top 8s, if that's your guiding metric that you're really looking at, which there's a bigger picture to all of this, but if that's your guiding metric, then Seth Manfield is next up after that with 4, I believe, and it's definitely I feel like it's just he hasn't put in his time, for lack of a better term, in many people's eyes. I feel like in a lot of ways people just don't respect. Even though he has such accolades, don't respect the amount of time he's put into the, at least like perceptive time, I would say, because I don't necessarily know how long Manfield has been playing, and it could be a lot longer than I think. But
yeah, that's true.
But my perception is that he hasn't really shown his capability until fairly, recently.
So maybe it isn't the longevity, and I get that.
Yeah. But
I mean, not yet, anyways.
Yeah, but I still respect his scorecard. I mean, as far as that is concerned, I wouldn't be surprised if people rallied to have him to put in there.
Can we get to the main event though?
Yeah,
there's one person that needs to go in.
Yeah,
and if you listen to this podcast for any number of years, you already know.
Get that mage in there.
Yeah, get that melee mage in there. Picula, all right?
Please.
I mean, we all need it.
This is soft year this year.
That's the breath of fresh air all of this negativity needs. I'm not even kidding. All of this garbage needs Picula. Needs him.
Just do it. Again, this year's kind of a meh year. There's definitely some notable names, but not necessarily, I don't think, any slam dunks as far as that goes. There's plenty of people that are still actively playing that can add to their scorecard and make a stronger bid in the future years, but Chris Picula may not, and I think like this is the opportunity to people to get him there, and I really feel like he's contributed a lot to the community and definitely has earned his right to be there. And I know that he's had some pretty close calls with just missing out, and I really hope I really hope that this could be the year for him.
Yeah, I hope so too. I did post there's a blog entry here from Z Mousewitz, who, and I hope I said his last name. It's been a while since I've had to say it. So who has said he is making up for past wrongs, and he has not voted for Picula in the past, but now he represents that his stuff is important. We should, his past accomplishments are important, and we should get him in. And I'm hoping that's a rallying cry for a number of players. So we don't get a vote, but if we did, that'd be it. I think that would actually be the name I'd write down, and I would submit.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, you don't get to vote anymore. And I'd be like, worth it.
I mean, there's probably plenty of players that don't submit a ballot and may not submit a ballot this year.
It's probably true.
Players and other people who get votes. It's not just players that actually get votes.
And I want to make it clear. There's a lot of really good players on the list here. There's been some push for like Jerry Thompson, for example, who's been he's his best finishes are most recently, but he's been on the various circuits forever and a great content creator. But I think that like it's close, but maybe not quite there. But like I think that like Magic's such a weird game because we view longevity differently than we view in any other competition. So, but I don't know. I think I will be surprised by whoever it is.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully
I'm
sure.
just happily surprised. Hopefully it's just like
exactly.
It's just Chris by himself, and he's just like, yeah, this is all for me.
This is my moment.
I get 3 watches.
I also think Brad Nelson is actually on the list this year too.
He is. Yep.
And I think that again, I think he's another person that is still playing the game actively and can add a lot to his list. But I think like his career is not as prolific stat-wise as, a Manfield or anything like that. But I do feel like he is pretty iconic in the game, especially like when I started playing again, like and started watching coverage and stuff like that. He was definitely a face of the game for quite some time, and he's fallen off a little bit. But I do think that it is another name that to keep an eye on. Maybe not this year, but he's going to be chasing that for sure. And I do really think that. At least I hope, because it'd be kind of, it'd be a little poetic. But if if Brad and Jerry get in the same induction class, I think that would be poetic.
That's true.
But
he also has 3 prototype 8s. He has had a pretty good recent career. Mike Siggers is on this list.
Oh yeah, Siggy.
Yeah, look at that. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I think we're gonna have some exciting classes in the future, but this year is a lot of maybes.
Yeah, this year's class sort of fits this year.
Yes. So yeah, well, I'll wait with bated breath to see like what that actual induction looks like.
I want to catch mice in my mouth.
All right. Are you done? Are you back from watching your Vine compilations? Good. I hope that this last break was extra long.
I love those ones with that guy. He's doing that cool walk dance, that song. The 80s song. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ones is "You Are My Dad." You're my dad.
Oh man, that's
good times.
Oh,
Rip Vine. So we're gonna talk about Alex Bertoncini. And we're going to talk about him because he recently top 8'd a GP.
Like this weekend.
Hooray! Yeah. And I think he's been eligible to play Magic for quite some time now. He's been off the ban list, as it were, for quite some time now. If you haven't been paying attention,
did you see there's a Magic Onion account? Magic the Onion
thing?
Did you see its post about that?
Yeah.
About the thousands grown because because Bertoncini wasn't on the most recent BNR update.
Yes. So it has been obviously a fairly I don't want to say mixed. It's not truly like a 50-50 sort of thing. It is very much so like I mean, I might be being a bit one-sided, but a 90-10 maybe sort of split.
That's
maybe
a even extreme, I think.
Yeah. Right? Of sort of reactions to him coming back to the game and being successful. Now, it's important to note this isn't his first time of like being somewhat successful recently. I know that he had an RPTQ top 8 or something like that. Maybe a PTQ top 8 where he did in the first round of said top 8 got a game loss for marked cards, which if you didn't hear about that happened probably not nearly over 200 days ago, but did happen. Important to note. He recently caught some hands on Twitter, to put it lightly, about people just kind of being tired of seeing his name and seeing him be allowed to play Magic. Period. Because as we kind of reiterated, cheaters they are thieves. They're trying to break the rules to steal money from you, and that's what it is. So to sort of counteract some of the vitriol that was being spat at him, he wrote a little Facebook ditty about his history and how he's trying to reform and how he's donating his winnings to Child's Play and or was it Child's Play or Gamers Helping Gamers?
Gamers Helping Gamers.
Gamers Helping Gamers. And how he's trying to turn over a new leaf and blah 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 blah. I'm going to tell you this: the man's a con artist, so don't believe him. Do not believe him. He's trying to appeal to you emotionally. He's trying to humanize himself to dodge the bad things that he did. And while he's not a convicted criminal, like he didn't get arrested and put into jail, he got banned from a card game that is run by an independent corporate entity. And guess what? If they want to ban him for life, they can. And if I don't want to trust him for life, I have the right to do so, and I don't. And I don't need to be sold his sad story about how he had a crappy teenager hood or whatever. Everyone's teen sucked. Get over it. Doesn't mean I cheat people, all right? Doesn't mean I scam people for their money. He's a con artist, and he doesn't deserve to play the game.
You mean you weren't all over Twist?
No.
I will read a tweet here from Patrick Sullivan. If you read Alex's note and are moved to sympathize with him, then you're a sucker.
Yeah. Don't be a sucker.
Here's the thing, and this is what I will say. People definitely can be reformed, right? And again, didn't go to jail, so it didn't go to reformatory. But that's the point of the punishment when you let someone come back. He is more than allowed to try, and he's going to have to try for a very, very long time. People pointed out he said he's going to donate his winnings from the top 8. Like you said, to Gamers Helping Gamers. The cynical argument to that is that, of course, it's you just deduct that on your taxes and then you make the money back. But anyways, but that's a thing. That is certainly not a bad thing. I'm sure Gamers Helping Gamers will use that to help people like Clay, who you won that award a little while ago. But it doesn't make up for the large amount that you've taken from other people. Yeah. So you have to do that for many more years than what you cheated for anyone to give you an inch. And the people who are I like this, everyone deserves a second chance. He's been banned 3 times.
Yeah.
If you don't pay attention, he was banned, then when he was the day the weekend before he was about to get unbanned, did stupid things and got his ban extended, and then came back and, according to him and his note, played sloppy and accumulated so many warnings that he got banned again. If you keep playing sloppy and getting warnings, you are trying to cheat. And you can say, oh, he wasn't, premeditatively cheating those things. No. If you don't correct those things and then you are lobbying judges to give you warnings instead of other things, you are cheating. And it got banned again. So by my count, we're on 4. Okay, right? So second chance, maybe. Third chance, I guess. I don't know. The third one is shame on me. The fourth one is I don't know, it's got to be something with fire based on what we're talking about today. So,
see, Here's the thing. He was banned from playing Magic. All right, he could still live his life. He could still continue to do anything else. He wasn't in prison. This isn't something where he got out of prison and then couldn't find work, so he had to return to crime. All right, he didn't.
Jean Valjean?
Yeah, he didn't. He's able to continue to live his life. Sans playing competitive Magic.
I would be moved to believe him if he did a one-man show of
yeah, you know what? No, still no. Still no.
So I do want to point out something he said on there because, again, I know I did read it. I know Morgan maybe.
I don't want to waste my time with that.
That's fair. He mentioned how Magic was his escape for him and how he defines this and that. And you know what? That is, you mentioned the teenager thing. That's true for a lot of people. Magic is an escape. Hobbies are escapes.
Yes, by design.
Most people treat them with the respect and reverence that deserves. I don't mean you have to be magic is holy, but what I mean is that I look forward to my time doing that because of how much I enjoy it, and I've never once been I'm going to rob this person so I get to keep doing my thing, and it kept him away from the game. That argument doesn't check out. It could be very important to you, but people show the things are important by treating it with respect, not by and treating others with respect, not by stealing from them.
I really love riding bikes, and that's why I had to steal this bike to ride it. I had to commit crimes to ride bikes, all right? And that's the only way that I could ride bikes, is by stealing them, not by purchasing them legitimately with money, only by stealing.
Oh my gosh! And he again, his explanations for things are bad. They are. He mentions he calls himself a cheater. He admits this for the first time apparently ever, which is hilarious. But then he only mentions one tweet in particular and has been very dismissive of people asking him for things he said he would explain. And I don't know. Again, he could be a better person now than he was, and this could be honest. But not a single person who read that or listening now has. You have no motivation to believe that, and it is not. reformation, like the idea of like he's did his time, whatever else. Yes, but it doesn't automatically make you trustworthy. It just means that you did what was asked of you for that time period in relation to the entity. In this case, WotC. Like there was a really good take on this idea that like what the energy it takes to play someone like Alex. If you randomly sit across from Alex and you know Alex Bernstein and you know who he is, how much more energy you have to expel to not only play the game but also to worry about what he's going to do. And I think that tax alone, somebody mentioned that he should take the time to then like every time he plays, he should say, "Hey, I'm this guy. I've cheated. I'm going to be very honest with you while I do this. These are how many cards are in my hand. I'm going to do this." Like, and he should play that way for a long time to reduce that tax. And maybe eventually it'll just be like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy that used to cheat." But I don't buy this, and I really hope that you don't either. Fair?
Yeah. I agree. Hey, guess what? Since he loves Magic so much, next time that you get paired against him in a Magic tournament, just concede. Just be like, no. If you love this so much, I'm going to deprive you of the game because you apparently the only thing you want really is the win. So like, here, take the win.
I don't like that one because then he just like wins the tournament.
Yeah, but then he doesn't get to play Magic and he stops.
Just ask him for the concession. Be like, you said you were paying back to the community, so
can I get this one?
Can I get this one?
I mean, you got so many free wins against people. Like you gotta start giving them out, don't you?
Here you go, Eddie McDowd.
You gotta.
Here's a deed.
Here's your 100 deeds. No, I would encourage you that there is a difference between someone getting banned, returning to the game, and playing straight and not going back on that list, but to get banned, be dumb, get your ban extended, come back, get banned again because you're covering your cheats by saying you're playing sloppy, and then coming back to the game and wanting to get redemption and wanting the people to accept the line you're selling of you've changed. You sound like an abusive boyfriend or spouse or partner. That's what you sound like. And I'm not here to take it. I'm not here to believe you. You have shown multiple times over and over again that you are here to abuse the game, and you can just get out because I don't need you here. And that message is for anyone who cheats at Magic. Get out. We don't need you here. There's plenty of people in playing Magic that you can beat by just like putting time and energy and effort into crafting and honing your skill. And that's a far more rewarding thing to do than cheat people out of money. Getting better at a game is far better than cheating anyone at anything. So keep that in mind. I know that sentiment kind of just sounded like I said, get good, but...
Dear Lord.
But it's not that. It's putting time and energy into improving a craft.
Yeah, all you missed out was a bro there, Morgan.
Yeah. Well, if I had the diva voice line that I could play where she yells "get good" at people, then that would have been more effective. But I don't want to get sued by Blizzard. All right, we'll give you some time to watch some more Vines because it's important to bring your happiness level up. And then you can pause us, and then once you get back, we'll talk about our lovely sponsor, Comic Town. They're going to be having a modern Star City Games IQ with a 1K cash prize on This Is in the Past. Why is this here? You left the Comic Town bumper.
Oh, no. I meant to update it. I apologize.
It already happened.
They have another one. My apologies. I didn't update the new one. Oh, my gosh.
They do have another one. I'll get the date here for you in a second, but it is a 1K cash prize that is going to be paid out.
I literally looked at the new one, and I was like, yeah, I got it.
Those only pay out to the top 8, right?
Yes.
Paid out to the top 8.
September 1st.
September 1st. So it is right around the corner.
It is standard.
And that's going to be standard. So get your standard decks ready and come prepared to play some standard, not modern, like I previously said. My co-host set me up for failure.
I did. It was gotcha.
Gotcha.
Spooked you.
Stop it, spaghetti.
Yeah. So come say goodbye to standard.
Yep. Good riddance.
Well, I mean, I guess you could. Yeah, that song's fine.
But speaking of standard, we have some standard to talk about a little bit here. A couple of
I'll give you standard to talk
couple
about.
of U.S. based GPs, one in Providence and one in L.A. We're going to talk about Providence first. It was small. It was only it was under 700 players, which is kind of surprising. I mean, standard is old at this point in time, and you'd expect to see less people in general, but 700 under 700 is dinky. I mean, you're like, you're talking about, you know, modern Star City Games tournaments, which should be getting, you know, somewhat eclipsed by GPs, if not dwarfed, comparing, you know, depending on what the GP it is, to really not be able to compete with GP Providence. But yeah, it was won by Daniel Duffy. Mm-hmm. And let's take a look at some of the deck lists here. I'm pulling them up. It was Mono Red Wizards taking it down, defeating a blue-white control piloted by Oliver 2. So you know, that is this sort of the low to the ground Flame of Keld deck? Yeah,
it's exactly what it is.
So we're playing.
If you see that, it's playing Wizards Lightning and Flame of Keld. Like
yeah, we're playing, you know, 12 burn spells, Flame of Keld, some red creatures, put them in a stew. Tastes good.
Potatoes.
And then lower control is, guess what? Blue-white control. I don't know what else to say about it. We got Solo Wreckage, we got some Gearhulks, we got some Teferis. Again.
It's okay, Morgan. I know you're close to past standard. Let's say this. We have blue-black control showing up Andrew Caneo in fourth year. So...
Yeah, and I feel like Cuneo himself has, you know, really been on this deck for a while. I feel like the last time I saw him play, it might have been at the Team PT or something like that. I can't remember, but he was on blue-black. Maybe that's wrong. I feel like last time I saw him play, he was playing blue-black control.
That might be true. I'm trying to remember. I know he was on camera at the PT. I don't remember.
I don't remember what seat he was playing.
His sideboard is spicy, though.
I've been seeing a lot more brawls in people's sideboards in general. The Deadeye tracker is that's Redo Tech.
That's Redo Tech, yeah. There's also like a return of Vizier Many Faces, which is kind of sweet.
Yeah, that's true.
Infernal Reckoning, which is a card that saw a fair amount of play this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the red black menace, you know, still exists obviously, and they have
Darth Maul.
No,
he is the red black Phantom Menace.
I guess that's true. But he's still technically alive too. I guess.
No, he's not.
Did he die?
Yeah.
Well, I don't follow the animated series.
Oh, that was last year. I'm sorry if I spoiled this for you, but Obi-Wan killed him.
Oh well. I mean, sometimes it doesn't take the first time.
It does not. No, he actually did this time. It was old Obi-Wan on Tatooine.
Fair enough.
I'm so sorry if that was last year or almost 2 years ago at this point. If I spoiled that for you, you're already gone. You already closed it out. You already said F this, delete this podcast.
They ruined the stupid Star Wars spoilers.
They ruined Star Wars Rebels for me.
To be fair, if you didn't know that show existed, then you already thought he was dead. So who cares?
No, depends. If you didn't know that show existed, but you did watch Clone Wars, then you thought he was alive.
Okay. Well, the animated series.
I mean, they're both like CGI. Is that anime?
Yes.
Anyway. Probably comic books. I don't know. But yeah, it was Infernal Reckoning though. It was at least interesting. I still don't know. I think I saw LSV tweeted something of like I have no idea why this is seeing play, which was pretty hilarious. But
because there are a lot of Twitter people asking for like 4 Infernal Reckonings, and they're like, why?
He's like, I don't get this at all. But I mean, there it is.
Yeah, I mean, exiling and gaining a little bit of life, like exiling even like a Scrap Heap Scrounger, or what's the Bowman Courier? Obviously, they play something else. Heart of Kieran.
Yeah.
Like those are all solid targets to get rid of. So I mean, you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah. Overall, there were 6 copies of Red Black Aggro in the top 16, 1 in the top 8, 5 in the top 16.
Yep.
We had 2 copies of Grixis Midrange just outside the top 8, and then that's the top 8 actually had 3 copies of that Wizards deck. So Red is in firm control of this format, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready for that rotation.
Yeah, me too. Let's talk about more standard. GPLA was taken down by Jabberwocky himself, Logan Nettles.
Ooh, it nettles me.
and he was playing the Red Black Menace, the Darth Maul deck.
Why have we been calling this whole time?
I have no idea, but now I feel like we've been robbed.
Yeah, we could have Darth Maul forever.
Beating Blue Black Midrange, piloted by Ben Friedman. We also had Eric Froelich, Chris Ferber, Stephen Solis, Larry Lee, Michael Tamblin, and aforementioned Alex Bertoncini, rounding out the top 8 here. We do see that Ifro is playing Turbofog, so and finishing in. It's listed here. I assume it's either 3rd or 4th place. There's 2 4th places.
No, they tied.
Yeah, they tied. They shook hands. They're like, no 3rd this time, just 4th for us. We also do see another copy of Black Green Constrictor, and this is a deck that. We talked about last week as well as being kind of surprising to see show up again, but we see another sort of pilot of it, getting there with it. Just outside of top 8, in 9th place, we do have Blue-Green, or Green-Blue Stompy, piloted by Andrew Beckstrom, popularly known as BK by LSV. And, this is kind of where we had thought this deck would revert back to the earlier sort of blue splash instead of the black splash for counter spells, for Commit to Memory, and some Spell Pierces, some negates in the sideboard.
There's a real weird card in the sideboard. You see it?
Is it Spyglass?
No, it's Metamorphic Alteration.
Oh, yeah, this card.
Yeah, that weird clone enchantment.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
It did sound like you were trying to spit hot fire at that.
I'm sure it was for something. But I don't know what. I'll be perfectly honest.
Yeah, fair enough. It's spicy nonetheless, but I'd like to see what it was there for. Man, maybe put that on your vine or some wait, hold on here. I'm confused. It becomes a copy of the chosen creature, right? Yeah. So maybe just make more vine berries.
Clearly.
So.
But there's still some hope for the mono G's as far as that goes. But maybe you're switching your splash color for something a little bit more countery. Anything else from GPLA that you really wanted to highlight to talk about? Not even close. Moving on. Man, we're so so if you guys don't know, PAX West, so PAX that is based in Seattle, is going to be coming up here soon, and there are going to be some spoilers for Ravnica during that, and I'm so excited to just see glimpses, just hints of Ravnica cards. Please. Rush is very excited as well.
Yeah, he's very excited for Guilds of Ravnica.
As you can clearly see. So, well, let's keep moving on here, powering through. We have the Dallas Open that was hosted by Star City Games. It was won by David Thomas, Brian,
Bosicle?
Yeah, Bosco, and Jonathan Job.
But I had the, never mind. I had the little slash there. My bad.
Anyway, anytime I know who David Thomas is as a Magic player, but we live in Central Ohio, so Wendy's is
Wendy's country.
Wendy's is definitely a pillar.
Yeah, Dave Thomas is a spatula man.
I see Dave Thomas, I go, oh yeah, Wendy's. So I apologize, David Thomas, but you've had to get that your entire life. I hate to propagate that, but.
He doesn't hate that much to propagate it. He did it.
I did.
He could have not done it.
I could have not done it, but I did do it.
Hey, did you see it won the standard portion?
Was it Batnex?
It was Turbofog. And now it is team constructed, but it took third of GP, won a big event. It's real.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there was any.
No, we said it last week. It's part of the metagame. But yeah, now it's won an event.
That's true. It's risen to the top. Unfortunately, our the BCW team was in second place this time around, which I know that they're still on they're still on Project Get Tan and Grace a trophy.
Yes,
I believe
that is the project.
Every time I check in on them, so we have the winning modern place list as being humans, and humans being a popular choice for the entire tournament, and then Legacy, the Spatula Man himself was playing Blue Black Shadow.
Okay, that's a nickname that would be sweet to stick. Just hey, this is the Spatula Man.
So, kind of the really, if you look at this, these are all like the hot decks from the Pro Tour, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like, humans always say it's a hot deck, but it's a good deck. But definitely Blue Black Shadow and Band Nexus being sort of the decks to talk about from that tournament. So that is pretty cool. But yeah, we'll circle back here and talk about some classics as well. All right, actually, before we move over to the classics, I know that, Mike, you wanted to talk about a modern deck?
Yeah, so I at least want to mention Hardened Scales Affinity. I know we've seen versions of this recently, but it's starting to do well on Magic Online, and these newer versions of the list are kind of interesting. So, of course, they play 4 Hardened Scales, which, if you remember that lovely enchantment back from, Con Standard, it adds an extra counter to anything that gets a counter, so then they're overloading on these effects. It plays 4 Hangerback Walker, 4 Walking Ballista, 4 Arcbound Worker, 1 Sparring Construct, Dominaria Staple, 4 Arcbound Ravager, 4 Steel Overseer. It's playing Ancient Stirrings, which is something that Affinity is now adapting to do, because that card's gross. 4 Mox Opal, plays a bunch of Welding Jars, some of them play 1 to 2 Animation Module from Kaladesh, okay, which is whenever one of our creatures gets a +1/+1 counter, you can pay 1 and get a 1/1 servo. And then they play Animation Module. They play Throne of Geth as well, which we saw make an appearance in the Legacy sideboards of the Death Shadow deck, but now is being used here to proliferate. Proliferate is disgusting with when you have Hardened Scales. Animation Module is too, because the way it actually works is as much mana as you have is how many counters you can add to your Arcbound Ravager. Because you sack it to get a counter and you do this. And it plays a little bit different mana base than regular Affinity does, but you still have the Blink Moth and Ink Moth back and forth. It also gets to play like Horizon Canopy. This is a really interesting take on Affinity, and is currently the take on Affinity that is very popular in Magic Online and is doing the most damage. So this deck may be the thing that pushes Ancient Stirrings finally to a banning slot, where it's just like Affinity literally had to transform itself to play Ancient Stirrings.
We'll see.
Oh, I'm just saying it could be.
I'm all for Ancient Stirrings going bye-bye.
But I think like if you were used to playing against regular Affinity, right now you're actually probably more likely to see this version. And if you don't play against it, like if you do not like sequence correctly against this deck, you play. The first time I played against this deck on Magic Online, I was just like regular Affinity. I was gonna do and like I did not sequence my removal well enough to win that game. And you need to learn how to play against this version. It definitely can win from different board states and win from surprising board states. So beware.
Yeah, for sure. All right. We can go ahead and look at the Standard Classic real quick, because it's just going to be real quick. It's won by the Mono Green Aggro, defeating Mono Red Wizards in the finals here. So,
hey, another showing for Drake Haven. Good job, Ricky Lynn.
Yeah, and
keep that train going.
This is even green black, so it looks like they weren't afraid of no fogs, apparently, or they're just not afraid of them. I was like, well, they got 4 duresses, but that doesn't really do the trick, does it? Not always.
Not always.
And then we could take a look at the Modern Classic here. It was won by Storm, piloted by Austin Collins, defeating Mono Green Tron there. 2 ships passing in the night.
Ironworks in 3rd.
3 ships passing in the night.
Hey, but there's Wizards in 4th. So
yeah, Wizards actually shows up twice. It shows up in 4th place, and there's another one in 15th. So, that's sort of like a corner case deck. It's not necessarily up there in results or anything like that, but it really shows that you can kind of have a new archetype, much like maybe not to the bombacity as Black Red Vengevine, but definitely have a newer sort of archetype kind of show up and play a little bit with the field. And then also important to note, no humans here in the top.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Top 16, no humans. So we have Banned Spirits, which people like to compare, but that's the creature deck du jour apparently. And then the Legacy Classic, well, I'll tell you what, it was won by Lands.
Taylor Spain won this, and a guy with the last name Spain playing Lands is the best. I don't know why, it just works for me.
Because he claimed this land for Spain.
Yes, he got all the planes from Spain.
Defeating Grixis Control. Both of these players have great last names, piloted by Travis Savage.
Oh my gosh. Travage?
Travage?
If you are not streaming under the handle Travage, you have messed up.
And there are a lot of death and taxes in the top 8.
Yeah, you saw that too, huh?
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Woo. That's half the top 8. Apparently that deck got good. Real good. So keep a lookout for that, I guess. And then Affinity. And this is we just talked about
Legacy Affinity.
This Legacy. This is Lodestone Golem.
Yeah, and Thorn of Amethyst.
Thorn of Amethyst Affinity. This is City of Traders Affinity. You don't know about City of Traders Affinity.
No, you don't. You definitely do not.
But yeah, another cool deck here in 10th place is a blue-green Eldrazi poster, blue-green post.
I think you're really drawn to those decks. You like those decks.
Yeah, I think it's cool that it can now be successful in Legacy for the longest time it just couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, all you need is 4 tropical islands and a candelabra.
I'm not saying it's like
I know. I just
it's expensive.
I'm saying that maybe that's what's making the deck not show up as much.
Sure, but I mean, there's people that definitely already have those cards already,
sure,
and have access to the deck, but it just couldn't win through some of the other things that the other archetypes were able to do with broken cards like Taxian Probe and Deathrite Shaman.
That's fair.
But yeah, those are all the tournaments. There's nothing really. We're in sort of the doldrums. M19 has made its impact. So anything, I really feel like anything that is absurdly broken has been found out in M19 and placed into the decks where it's good in. And we kind of had our big exciting sort of showcase of new decks with the Pro Tour being a team Pro Tour. So there's not necessarily a whole lot to talk about tournament-wise, and we'll try to keep it interesting until rotation happens. But boy, howdy, we're looking at that calendar, just looking and hoping and praying.
All right, that was good. I really you get a little sticker for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm really ready for Ravnica, I think.
So. I hope. We're saying we're ready for it. We have no idea what's in it. So
no,
I just don't think it.
This is true no matter what changes they make. Anytime.
Yeah.
I'm always ready for rotation.
I'm ready for. I like seeing new cards. New cards are exciting, even if they're kind of mediocre.
Yeah, I think that we felt this way when we were saying goodbye to Battle for Zendikar and Gideon Ally of Zendikar for it felt like a long time. But they're just red black has become boring, blue white is boring, and I just want something new. And that's just me being a fickle Magic Standard player.
Yeah.
But I'm allowed to be, so deal with it.
It's true. All right. So wrap up. What do we have coming up this weekend? We have Grand Prix Prague, which is going to be modern, and then we have Star City Games Baltimore, which is going to be modern. So we had double standard. Now we have double modern coming up this weekend, and that's far more intriguing and exciting. And for some of you local players that have received an invitation, there's the Cube Invitational that's going to be happening.
Why do you do this to people?
Because I get to go.
I'm only talking about the select 9 of us.
I'm very excited about the Cube Invitational.
Can I be honest? I haven't done any kind of video for it yet. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
That's a bummer.
I know.
To talk a little inside baseball for you folks, there's been videos that Mike has shot and produced that are they're pretty funny. They're pretty good.
Thank you, appreciate that.
It puts a lot of time. It shows, and they've been a good way to open the games, as it were. It's our torch lighting ceremony for the Cube Invitational, and it's all right. You put a good amount of effort in these past couple of years. You can take a year off. I think it'll be all right. But it's very exciting, and you don't get to go. So.
Oh my God! What a terrible way! I am listeners. I'm very sorry. Morgan here is lording literally nothing you care about over you.
Yeah, no, it's. I'm sorry, listeners.
You don't get to spend your whole Sunday Rochester drafting an average cube. That's for you, Dave, because I know you're listening.
Wow, that's deep. That's personal. I'm just insulting strangers.
I know. I insulted my friend.
All right, well, that wraps this up for At Your End Step. Of course, if you want to reach out to us, which some of you now may want to, you can do so through various means. We're on Twitter. It's our handle is Your End Step, and when you add us, it's At Your End Step. We also have an email address, atyourendstep@gmail.com, and we have Facebook. So just do a quick search for At Your End Step on there, and we show right up. While you're on Facebook, be sure to give our sponsor a quick search as well, Comic Town Gaming Center. Give them a follow if you're local or want to travel a little bit for some awesome local game store Magic tournaments. We have, of course, the show posted most everywhere, but if you are listening to us via an Apple product, please feel free to leave us a rating or a review. It really helps with visibility. And if you're listening to us on MTGcast, feel free to take a look at some of the other shows they have to offer. We also have a Patreon, so if you'd like to become a patron, you could visit patreon.com/@YourEndstuff. And again, we are having a giveaway for a Nexus of Fate through our Patreon as well as through our Twitter account, so be sure to check them out and give them a follow. But that's going to be it for us this week. We'll catch you next time. You have a great one. Bye.